That's the future that...
Dijital teknolojilerdeki
The love of God gripped me.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Well, today we have another really interesting topic. There's a lot of confusion about how to be led by the Holy Spirit. There's a lot of people who say that they are led, and you really wonder if they are. And there are others, you know that they're led by the Spirit, but you just don't really understand what that means. We're going to explore what this means today, what it means to be led by the Spirit. We have some very special guests today too, some dear friends of mine from Raleigh, North Carolina. We're going to explore this topic, and I think you're going to find it very interesting. Here we go. It's coming next. Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining us today at Prophet Talk. And what a very exciting program we have for you. And what a very special interview we have with some very dear friends of mine. More on that a little bit later. This program is about how to be led by the Holy Spirit. Isn't that a powerful topic? That is something that we all want to know. That is something that we all want to experience in our life. To be led by the Holy Spirit on a daily basis is incredibly important. To be led by the Holy Spirit to move in His gifts is also important. So this whole thing about moving in the Spirit, being led by the Spirit, is a very, very important topic for us to understand, which is why we're focusing and centering on this today. Now, I have a couple of scriptures that I'd like to read to you. So here we go. Here's the first one. And this is very, very important. This is in Romans chapter 8, verse 14, where it says, "As many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God." And in Galatians chapter 5, 18, "But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law." Hallelujah. This is incredibly important. If we are led by the Spirit, then we are the sons of God. If we are led by the Spirit, then we are not under the law or under the ordinances of the law. What in the world does that mean? The law in the book of Romans is bringing us to a revelation of what we lack and of what we cannot produce within ourselves. There are none of us that are righteous. It's all by the blood of Jesus. It's all standing in Him. And thank God for what He did, because if Christ hadn't done this for us, none of us would be acceptable to the Father. But we are because of Him. But because the Holy Spirit takes from what is Jesus and makes it known to us, then when we experience the Holy Spirit, we are experiencing something also from Him, our King. That means that as we are being led by the Spirit, we are not under the ordinances of the law. That's very, very powerful. So there's a lot of people who say, this is by the Spirit, this is by the Spirit, and they do crazy things. Can I say this? The Holy Spirit is not crazy, and He doesn't do crazy things. So when we are led by the Spirit, it's going to reveal His truth, His ways. It's going to be something that can be confirmed in the Word of God. It's something that will lift people up and will push them forward more into Christ. And it is not against His values or His methods. God is God, and He's not schizophrenic. So when we're talking about being led by the Spirit, I am not talking about crazy people doing crazy things. I'm talking about normal people doing God things. And that's a very important way to say that so that we understand that. So the first thing that comes about in being led by God is you have to have a relationship. How can you be led by the Holy Spirit if you don't understand who He is? And does that mean that you need to pray for 2-3 hours a day? No, it doesn't mean that. But it does mean that we need to have a God consciousness, that we need to be aware of how God would respond in different situations. that God consciousness is actually the Holy Spirit communicating to us. You know, this thing about being aware of what God would do or wouldn't do in situations is really discernment, which is also a gift of the Holy Spirit. And it helps us to understand how to be led by the Holy Spirit. God is not the author of confusion. And to be led by the Holy Spirit, there isn't confusion. It means that it's righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit is what the Word of God says. So when we have a relationship, if you pray 10, 15 minutes a day, if you worship in your car, going to work, anything that helps to develop and to increase your maturity in your relationship with God, those are very, very good things. As you grow in God and understanding His Word, His ways, you're also growing in the Holy Spirit because He is God. So when we understand this basic thing about the relational aspect of the Holy Spirit, then we can begin to be relationally led by the Holy Spirit. Now, there's a lot of things that people will talk about in regards to how to be led by the Spirit, and we'll cover some of that a little bit today. Some of it, I think, is not helpful and harmful. You know, it is important to obey the Holy Spirit, but obedience to the Holy Spirit is doing what He says, not what others says He says. That's very, very important. We need to understand the guidance of the Holy Spirit in our own life. That's very, very important. If someone comes to you and says, the Holy Spirit says this, but it sounds like manipulation, it is manipulation. And we just need to understand we need to avoid that. And that out of the relational aspect that we have, there are certain values. And if other godly people that we're around, they should have the same values. And they should be hearing similar things in the Holy Spirit to what you're hearing. So relationship is very, very important. Very, very important. The next thing that we need to talk about is we need to be filled by the Holy Spirit. The Bible talks about there's one baptism. I do believe in the baptism of the Holy Spirit, but there are also fillings in the book of Acts. And the fillings that come in the book of Acts is for strength, strengthening, helping us to stand strong, helping us to be able to resist the enemy, helping to increase our faith to do the will of God upon the earth. Fillings are very, very important. When you are in a meeting and you feel the Holy Spirit touching you, that's a refreshing. A refreshing and a filling are the same thing. Now, sometimes fillings can be very, very powerful. And other times they can just be just exactly what they are. Just something which is nice and peaceful and calm and just gives us a boost for the day that we're in. But fillings are something that can happen even on a daily basis as we're sitting in the presence of God or we're communicating with God and we're experiencing with God. 5 seconds in the presence of God can change your life. 5 seconds in the presence of God can answer 5 years of question. Fillings are very, very important. And fillings happen in the book of Acts to the apostles and to others. In the New Testament, fillings occur also. This is something that we can experience in our own life. So when you are in your church meetings and you experience the Holy Spirit and you leave that encouraged, built up, that's a filling. That's a refreshing of the Holy Spirit. And we need more of that. To experience that also helps us to understand a little bit more about Him. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because there are over 40 different ways that the Holy Spirit will lead us. These are called the anointings of the Holy Spirit. There are different ways that He can lead us. Now, let me say this. I believe there's only one anointing. This is in 1 John chapter 2, verses 20 and 27. And you have an anointing. You all have an anointing. And in 27, and you don't need to be taught by everyone because you have an anointing. What that is saying, it isn't saying that you don't need teaching. It's saying that the fact that you have an anointing is real. It's real. That anointing is the anointing that is Christ. It's His anointing that is upon our life. It's Him, it's Him. It's not me, it's not mine. It's important for us to understand. But He is God. Let me say it again. He is God, wonderfully God. And He is diverse. Think of everything that He has created. Think of all the trees. Think of all the animals. Think of all the insects. Think of everything that has been created. The diversity in all of that. There are over 3 trillion trees that are on this planet. And there are over 2,000 different varieties of trees on this planet. Now just think about just that fact alone. Doesn't that say that the Holy Spirit can bring diversity to us because of how big our King actually is? Now, Trinity is very, very important in that they cooperate together. But the Holy Spirit reveals to us who Jesus is. So I have experienced over 40 different ways that the Holy Spirit can bring things to us so that we will understand what He wants to do and how we can be led by Him. That's important. That's very important. Things, of course, things like repentance, things like confirming a call of God upon his life, things like time to worship. But there are other things as well, where the Holy Spirit will put something on the inside that says it's time to pray for this individual because they're in trouble, or it's time to worship, or it's time to come away with me because I want to speak to you. There's many different ways that the Holy Spirit will communicate to us, and it's by His touch, the way that He touches us. So the way that He touches you is the way that He leads you. Now, in the Bible, it says that Jesus was led by the Holy Spirit. That meant that the Spirit was touching Him in some way that He knew was Him. Did He hear the voice of the Father? Yes, He heard the voice of the Father, but He was led by the Spirit, led into the wilderness, led into different situations. He recognized that He couldn't do anything without the Holy Spirit, and He is God Almighty. He is part of Trinity. So when we think about this, we need to understand how important this really, really is. The next thing I want to talk about is that the Spirit is involved in the renewing of our minds. The Bible talks about this, is that we are leaving an old life and we are becoming more like Jesus. And the more that we communicate with Him, the more that we stand with Him and walk with Him, the more our mind changes. When I was saved, I was a hippie. And I came out of a drug background. And I needed this renewing of the Holy Spirit because I was struggling with all kinds of things. But it was the power of God in just walking with God, daily communicating with God. The Holy Spirit began to work within my life. And it was unseen but noticeable. And that others could see the change in character, the change in conduct, the way that I did things. In the renewing of the mind, there were certain things that I liked to do, couldn't do them anymore, didn't want to do them anymore, found that even some of them were dangerous. And so I left them. But when people refuse the renewing of the mind, it's very, very difficult for them to be led by the Holy Spirit. Being renewed in your mind means that you are yielding to the Holy Spirit and you are following Him and you are allowing Him to change your character, your person, so that you become more like our Lord. And isn't that what we all want? We all want to become much more like Jesus. And the Word of God actually helps us in this understanding of how to be renewed. When I first married my wonderful wife, we did this thing every morning where she would give me a scripture verse and I would give her something that I found in scripture. Everything that I gave her, she knew because she had been raised in church and been raised in the Bible, and I knew nothing. So I had to struggle all day long to learn a scripture when I didn't know scripture so I could repeat it to her later in the evening. It wasn't an easy task, but I did it. But what happened over the years of just trying to understand the Word of God, it became a fabric in my life so that now I can't live without it. I stand upon it. It's very real to me, and it's very much a part of my family and everything that we're doing. If being led by the Spirit does not confirm with the word that the Spirit has given, then it isn't Him. Because the Bible says that the Word of God is a revelation of the Spirit of God. The Word of God is the Spirit of God in action. It's been given to us. It has life. It's real. The fourth thing we need to understand is that we need to be committed to some type of a local assembly or a local church. We need to be around God's people because the fellowship can help us. It can shape us. It can strengthen us. There are times when you can be really, really down, but you're around God's people and it strengthens you. It encourages you. It invigorates you. It's also a way for the Holy Spirit to touch you because He can touch you through the lives of others. They can say something that will unlock keys within you. And it's like that moment where you go, wow, I haven't seen that before. That type of unlocking is something that the Holy Spirit can do through the fellowship when we are with God's people. Now, I love God's church, and I'm given to build God's church throughout all the earth. I believe in the church because Jesus gave the church. It's His church. Not man's church, it's His church. We may try to mess it up, but it's still His church, and I give glory to God for all of that. Amen and amen. The next one, this is incredibly important. It's obedience in the Holy Spirit. This is the hardest one, to obey the Holy Spirit. What do you do when you feel the Holy Spirit? And I did say feel. The Holy Spirit wants you to do something. Now, there's a difference between Him and your presumption. You know, sometimes we want to do good things and say it's the Holy Spirit, and it's not the Holy Spirit. If it's the Holy Spirit, He's going to confirm it. You're going to feel something. It's going to be according to His word. It's going to be in His values. It's going to be in His ways. If you know that this is God, and you know that He's leading you to do something, and you don't do it, you'll feel something on the inside. You'll feel the Holy Spirit being a little bit grieved. It isn't that He's upset. It's that He wants to invite you on an adventure with Him. There will, of course, be many other opportunities, but you've missed an opportunity, and I don't want to miss any opportunities. Obeying the Holy Spirit is very important. Obeying the Holy Spirit is actually a huge part of a Christian's life. That's right, it is, because He takes from what is Jesus and He makes it known to us. So obeying the Holy Spirit means that what He says, He can say it, He can reveal it, you can feel it, you can have an impression on the inside. It might come in dreams. The many different ways that the Holy Spirit can bring things to you. If you know it's Him, and you don't do it, you've missed a big opportunity. Every time you obey the Holy Spirit, you grow. You grow. And he who is faithful in little can be faithful in much. So we all want to grow more in God, and we all want to experience more. We want to experience the riches that God has for us. But we need to walk and be faithful with the things that He gives us. Now, does that mean that God won't bless you? There's over 600 scriptures in the Bible about blessing. You are blessed. So I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there are things that have been stored up for you in heaven that when you obey Him are released to you. And that's a very important thing for us to understand. The next thing is that we need to understand is that when we obey Him, there's an initiative that the Holy Spirit will come. He will come and signal that now is the time. Now, if you walk and do what I say, as I say it, how I lead it, certain things are going to happen. He spoke to me one time to go to a place in our city. So I drove 2 hours to get to this place. When I got there, I was there and I'm thinking, I have no idea what's going on. And all of a sudden, there was just a woman with a little child that came walking by. And God said, this is the one. So I walked outside and I said, hello. And she said, hello, a little bit nervous. And I said, I just want you to know that I've driven 2 hours because I'm trying to obey the Holy Spirit. And he said I needed to be here at this time and this hour. And he just spoke to me that you're the person. And then she began to cry. And she began to say, well, I prayed that God would send someone today. I need to hear something. And I'm going, I'm the man. It's me. And so we sat down, got some coffee, got some little things, desserts to feed the child. And the child was playing and Mom and I were there talking. I prayed for both of them. They were greatly encouraged and they heard the word of God that day. Did it unlock something in them? Yes, it did. Did it unlock something in me? Probably more than her, because something happened where I knew that what I heard was really him. And because I knew that when he would bring something else, that I could do it and I would do it. And so my life is a life where I'm trying to obey him. Do I always succeed? No, I don't. Am I a sinner? I am. Do I need repentance and the cleansing blood of Jesus? All the time. But I also know that when the Holy Spirit comes, I have an opportunity to either obey or not obey. And sometimes he will put you in a situation where you don't have a choice. You have to obey. Just remember Jonah. He ran away from God, but he ran into God. God will get his way. And you might say, yeah, but I don't want a prophecy, give it to somebody else. He will do that for a period of time until there's no one else but you. And then you have to do it. And that's very, very important. So we are led by this still small voice on the inside, how the Holy Spirit speaks to us with the calmness and with the peace of the Holy Spirit, where other times it can be like fire and power that comes upon us. There's many different ways that we can be led by the Holy Spirit. It's so wonderful to think about that. He can lead us through visions. He can lead us through dreams. He can lead us in a variety of ways. If you've listened to Prophet Talk, we're talking about all of these things. And all of these things will equip you so that you can become led by the Holy Spirit on a daily basis. You can be led by the Spirit in your church. You can be in a church meeting, the Spirit of God is there. If you're a prophetic person, God the Holy Spirit shows up. All of a sudden, things bubble on the inside. You know that it's God. You know that it's something. Can I just say to you, this is like popcorn. If you put enough heat to it, it's going to pop. It's the same thing when people who are walking with God and have some kind of a relationship with God, when they get into the presence of God, things are going to happen. But just because you get information, you still need to evaluate it before you give it. Is this something for you? Is this something for them? Is this something for somebody else? Is this something for the church? Now, all of those are big questions, but this is a mark of obedience. Sometimes in my early days of prophesying, I gave things that were really for me. They weren't for the people at all. But I learned through the years not to do that. And so now I don't try to help Jesus. I let him help me. And that's a very, very important thing. So my friends, you can be led by the Holy Spirit. We have an exciting interview with some very dear friends of mine. Scott and Angel Woodard are from Raleigh, North Carolina. They're leaders in Christian Life Fellowship Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. Paul Kidd is a dear friend and pastor. Please listen to this interview. There is some wonderful information in it for you. God bless you. Well, hello, my friends. Today, I have some very special guests. This is Scott and Angel Woodard. They are leaders at Christian Life Fellowship in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I have known them for almost 30 years. And it is a very great pleasure to have you both on the program today. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, Buck, we're super excited to be here with you.
So today we are talking about how to be led by the Holy Spirit. And I know that you have lots of practical experiences and some pragmatic points. So can I just start by just asking, what do you think are some of the important points to be led by the Holy Spirit?
I think some of the most important points of being led by the Spirit is really understanding, first and foremost, your relationship with the Holy Spirit. I think it's realizing that He's a person. He's not a mystical power or just something floating around. And so as we're praying in the Holy Spirit, as we're spending time communing with Him, we learn His personality, we learn His voice, we learn how He begins to interact with me as an individual. And I think that's one of the most crucial pieces, because sometimes if you read a book or see a man or woman of God moving in a certain way, I've seen many young men and women try to mimic other leaders and not have an authentic, original relationship with the Holy Spirit. So first and foremost, I think your relationship has to be authentic and very tangible and very close and familiar with you, first and foremost. What would you say about that?
Well, I also think, though, I mean, not everyone's going to be, they're not going to be walking with the Holy Spirit for several years to be able to be at that place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for new believers, understanding, reading the Bible, when just practical reading the Bible, the Holy Spirit's going to speak to you through that. And then also having mentors around your life, because sometimes people don't understand, they don't know if that's their voice or if that's the voice of the Holy Spirit. So I think even for those who are young in the Lord, to be able to have people around them and say, no, that is the voice of the Holy Spirit, because it's saying this, or maybe it's a gentle voice of correction, because, the voice of the Holy Spirit obviously brings us correction as well. And sometimes it's a very sweet, soft voice, but sometimes we don't always know which voice it is.
Yeah. I know as I first began to walk with the Holy Spirit, my early days, 19, 20 years old, I had never been raised around a church that taught you how to hear the voice of the Holy Spirit. I would just be in moments where I would begin to feel this warm presence come upon me, or I would begin to just have a drawing toward the Lord. And I began to recognize after a time, oh, that's the Holy Spirit, like sending me like an initiation. And I would begin to go, okay, Holy Spirit, I know you're here, but I don't know what you're doing. And I tell people sometimes God gives you training wheels, like when you're first learning to ride a bicycle, He gives you sometimes indicators that He's trying to get your attention. And I think when you recognize those, it becomes very helpful. I know when I first began to experience the Holy Spirit like that, sometimes my right leg would kind of begin to jump a little bit. I would begin to get somewhat anxious. And I began to recognize after a while, man, every time that happens and I pray for people, or every time I happen and I speak something, God's manifesting. And I began to tie those together as kind of my training was. It was my trigger. Sometimes my hands would begin to get hot, and I began to recognize, and I would hear other people talk around similar experiences, that when that happened, if you would pray right then for a person or an individual, that was God indicating to you, I'm ready to go. Come with me on this journey. And when I would pray for people, when that would happen, God would begin to manifest. And when that wasn't there, it was sometimes just praying by faith. It wasn't so much the power of the Holy Spirit. And so I began to tell people, if you can begin to recognize your triggers and Him capturing you, and some people talk about their ear burning, or their hands getting warm, or their knees beginning to shake. And God, I think, is very unique in how He works with individuals. But I've found over the years, if individuals will stop and begin to go, Holy Spirit, like Samuel, Lord, speak, I'm listening. If you'll begin to recognize those little indicators, God begins to lead you kind of on a very practical journey of how to experience them.
So you're talking about the different ways that the Holy Spirit can connect to us to let us know that He's there and He's ready to help us. Mm-hmm. And whenever He touches us that way, it's always an invitation to join Him on some kind of an adventure. And yep. So you call them triggers, and they are, I think we would call them the touch and even the leading of the Holy Spirit. Now, what I find very interesting is that when the Holy Spirit touches you this way, then there's usually, if you look around, there's usually something that He wants to do. Do you have any practical experiences about that, where you felt the Holy Spirit, you knew there was something, and then there was an adventure that happened?
So years ago, actually probably the first time I ever felt the Holy Spirit talk to me, I was about 8 years old. And I was staying with my grandparents in Oklahoma, and I really felt this shaking, overwhelming shaking. And I felt like the Lord said that there was going to be a tornado that was going to be coming through our area. And at this point, my grandparents, they didn't have TV. They barely had a radio, no cell phones, no internet at that point. This was a long time ago. And I didn't tell anyone that night, but I just had this really shaky feeling. And I felt like I was supposed to pray. Well, the next morning, my dad came to my grandparents' house, and he said, Angel, he said, there was a tornado that was headed towards the western part of Oklahoma. And he said it was coming, out there, you can see everything. You can see for miles and miles away. And he said, I saw it coming toward, and this was quite a few miles away from our house, but you could see it. And he said, and I saw it go all the way around the town that we lived in, which was where I was at with my grandparents. And so that was the first time that the Lord had ever spoke to me, actually ever. And then my dad confirmed it the next day by telling me that, this tornado had come, because it was pretty common to have tornadoes in that area, definitely in the spring.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting.
That boosted my faith tremendously.
So the Holy Spirit warned you that something was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's interesting.
I think the beauty of the Holy Spirit is he leads you in many different circumstances or situations. So sometimes he's leading you for things for your own individual life. And, I have find sometimes that I've had dreams where an individual came in my dream, and it may be, sometimes it was a leader that I recognized as a man or woman of God that represented the voice of God. I trusted them. And they would give me counsel in my dream. And I recognized, because I respected the word of the Lord in them, that was the Lord trying to get my attention. And it gave me a point to pursue questioning him and getting direction. Or sometimes I would see counsel that would come to me where he would begin to connect you to individuals, and you would just begin to realize, I'm supposed to talk to this person. Their face kept coming to my mind, or their name kept coming to me. And I would call them, and they're like, yo, you've been on my heart for the last couple of days, and I feel like God wants me to share this with you. And it would be the wisdom of God. And so I began to, as those things happen, I would begin to pursue them. I wouldn't just blow them off as, why am I thinking around those things? I would actually take them on what I call like a test drive. It's like, hey, let's go knock on the door and see, is that God? Why is this person keep coming to my mind or thought? That's one way, in practical ways, that I've seen God lead me. When it's coming to him leading me, like him wanting to touch other people, we often say it that, God comes to you where oftentimes you're going to see something, or you're going to hear something. You're going to hear a word in your ear that you're like, you recognize it's not your thought, or you're going to feel something. You begin to feel someone else's emotions. You begin to feel sad, or you begin to feel anxious, or you begin to feel sick. And at first you're like, what's wrong with me? But then you begin to recognize that's not me. That's God wanting to speak to somebody. And you begin to start looking around the room, and you start going, Lord, who is it? Who is this that you're trying to touch? And all of a sudden he'll begin to highlight someone, or you'll begin to be drawn to them. You're just like, I don't know. They just stand out. It's kind of like, I always talk about a photograph where everybody's in the photograph, but there's like that little white ring around one person. That's what it feels like in the room sometimes. It's like you're looking at everyone, but I'm so drawn to this one individual or this couple. And as you take a step to that, all of a sudden God starts illuminating. Your hands start burning, your knees start shaking, or, all of a sudden you have a word inside your mind that you realize, this isn't me talking to myself. The devil isn't going to tell me to bless these people or to encourage them or strengthen them. He's never, and I begin to recognize the Holy Spirit is beginning to give me the words of the Father or Jesus for those individuals. And what you find is, as you do those steps, your faith grows to have more of them. Your ability to catch them quicker begins to come. And so where when I first began to feel the Holy Spirit, I would begin to shake. And that's the only way I knew he was in the room. But then as I matured, that doesn't happen anymore. Now it's like I can feel like a tug in my spirit, or like an awakening inside of my mind. And I can recognize it's God tapping me on the shoulder. And it's like he took the training wheels off after a time. And he's like, now I want you to begin to grow and mature in the way I talk with you. And I find it's a progression. And the one thing I found that God loved, I talk about this, we grow and mature in the way we walk in the leading of the Lord. He doesn't get upset if we miss him. He doesn't get upset if he has to tell us a couple of times to catch us. He's growing us in that relationship. And the same way my 3 sons, when they were 5 years old, they asked 5-year-old questions, and they had 5-year-old responses. And I found out God isn't upset when we're 5 and we ask 5-year-old questions, as long as next year we're 6, and then we're 7, and then we're 8. And so I would tell people, it's like, don't draw back or hesitate because someone else is more mature, or maybe they do it better, or maybe it's like, realize God loves when you're 5 and you're asking 5-year-old questions and you're learning to hear his voice, as long as next year you're 6, and then you're 7, and then you're 8. And I think the Holy Spirit's always taking us on this growth journey in very practical ways.
So when we're talking about being led by the Spirit, of course we can talk about that in church situations, and we can talk about that out of our own prayer life. But what about on a normal everyday life, when you're walking the streets, or you're in a shopping mall, or a grocery store, or a coffee shop, and you're talking about the manifestations of the Holy Spirit, how he touches you, how the different ways that he will communicate. But I think there's a lot of fear in people where they have to take steps to overcome that. Have you had experiences on everyday life where you've encountered people where the Holy Spirit has spoken to you and you had to take those wonderful faith steps to release what God had given?
Scott was talking about dreams. That's something that the Lord has really, I guess, spoken to me through people. And so a lot of the dreams that I get are really for people and circumstances of life that they're in. And so sometimes it may be like a caution, like they're getting ready to make some decisions that are very unwise. And so there's times that I may go to that person, I may go to someone else and say, how is this person doing? This is what the dream that I had. Some of them are that they're not walking right with the Lord, and that us as shepherds or different ones have to be careful and know how to walk with them. Some of them are about health situations, that their health is not doing well. So it gives me, sometimes I don't even say anything to the person, but I feel like it's a point that the Lord has asked me to pray for them, whether it's their safety or whether it's their health or their well-being.
Yeah, and I have a couple of situations as well that kind of come to my mind. And it's always, I think, scary to your flesh to step out. Because, it's like you could be perceived as crazy. You can be perceived, what if I miss it? What if I do something that God's not on? I think everybody goes through those initial cautions. But here's what I begin to recognize. The Holy Spirit is working not only with you, many times he's working on the other side of the conversation. He's there with you. So he's working on the person in front of you or across the room, the same time he's working on you to step into the situation. I had a couple of experiences that I think of. One of my first experiences was I was at a restaurant, and there was a lady, 2 ladies that came in and sat at a booth across the way. I was actually working. I was bussing tables and in school. And the Lord said, I want you to pray for that woman over there. She's sick, and I want to touch her. She didn't look sick. She's laughing and having fun. And I actually left the room and went to the back room. And I'm like, Lord, she doesn't look sick. I don't know if this is you. And that shaking began to kind of come in me. And I walked back out and I looked at her again. And I walked back to the kitchen, back in the back again. And then I came back again. And I walked up to her, and I just kind of like, okay, I'm going to step out. And I said, ma'am, this may sound completely crazy, but I'm a Christian, and I felt like the Lord wanted me to pray with you, and that you're fighting some kind of health battle. And she didn't really say anything to me at much. She just said, well, go on ahead and pray then. She actually was very open. And I took her hand, and she took the hand of the lady that was with her at the booth. And I just prayed a very quiet prayer on a Sunday afternoon at the restaurant. It was very full. And when I began to pray for her, I felt the power of God like a jolt come out of my hand into her. And she kind of screamed, and she began to weep. And the lady across the table began to weep also. And God showed up at that table. And then she proceeded to tell me, she said, I just found out I have lupus. And we prayed for her. Well, what was amazing is 6 months later, I ran into that lady in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And she was registering for Bible college at Rhema Bible College. And we recognized each other. And she said, I went back to the doctor and I have a clean bill of health, and God healed me.
Praise God.
So it was scary. It didn't look like she needed it. And yet God supernaturally moved. I had one other encounter that I thought of very quickly. Was at another restaurant for whatever reason. I was at the Cracker Barrel, which is a wonderful country restaurant here in the United States. We were with a group of friends, and a young man was waiting on us. And when I was just sitting there, all of a sudden I had a picture of his grandmother, of an older lady, come in my mind. I assumed it was his grandmother, praying for him. And I began to talk with him, and I just asked him, I stepped out. I didn't know. I was like, is your grandmother still alive? Yes. He had been talking to us that he'd been in the military. He was a Golden Gloves boxer. He was a very fit young man. I said, I saw a lady I believe to be your grandmother who's praying for you. And when I said that, he began to shake. And it turned out that he had been a Christian and had fallen away through his military experiences and had ran away from God. And when I sat there and that we began to speak to him about the love of God from a word of knowledge about his grandmother, all of a sudden he bowed down on his knees at the table and began to weep at the table. All the people in the restaurant are watching us. And we just began to pray with him. And he gave his life right back to the Lord right there in the middle of the Cracker Barrel. And it was just a simple word of knowledge, a simple picture about a grandmother. But God jumped on that picture and began to shake that young man from the inside out. And so both of those situations were very diverse situations. But what I found through those situations, those were some of my earlier experiences, is that God was already there ahead of me. And when I stepped into it, I wasn't by myself trying to get him to show up. He was trying to get me to step into what he was already doing. And it boosted my faith for other opportunities.
Praise God for that. You've made some very, very significant practical points here about being touched by the Holy Spirit, recognizing the touch, learning what that touch is, and then not being afraid to go with the Holy Spirit on some of these different adventures. Could you please pray for the people here that are listening, that they can be led by the Spirit?
Holy Spirit, we just come before you right now. And God, we just ask for all of the viewers that are watching, Lord, that you would just come into their room, Father, whether they're in their vehicle, Lord, they're at work, if they're in their home. God, that you would just come and you would begin to speak to them. You would begin to speak their names. You would begin to speak life into them. And Lord, we just pray that the warmth of the Holy Spirit would just begin to rest upon them, upon their shoulders, Father, upon their body, Lord, on the top of their head, Father. And God, that you would begin to be a witness of your Holy Spirit, Father. As they watch this episode and other episodes, God, that you would just be the witness, God, and you would draw them to you, Father God, even as they hear other people's testimonies, God, that faith would arise inside of them, Lord, and that they would know that you are the creator of life, and that the Holy Spirit can and will move in them, Father, in Jesus' name.
Father, we just pray for every person watching. Your word says, let the love of God, the grace of Jesus, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all. Lord, I ask that through your Holy Spirit, that you would go into the home of every person listening, and that, Lord, you would meet them in an intimate place of relationship and awareness of you, that even right now, that your presence would begin to invade the place that they are, and that, Lord, you would unlock their ears and their eyes to see and understand all that you're doing in their life. Equip them to hear your voice, equip them to discover how you're trying to speak to them and work with them and walk with them. Lord, I pray that eternity would invade the place that they are, and that, Lord, you would make the practical journey of walking with you very real, very tangible, and very immediate in their lives. Lord, we thank you for the gift of the Holy Spirit to all who believe. In Jesus' name, amen.
It's been really wonderful to hear your life stories, to hear your experiences, the wonderful practical points. Let me just say to the people that are listening here, we're always trying to be led by the Holy Spirit in our lives, but sometimes we get in the way, or life circumstances get in the way. But if we will just do some of the practical points that have been communicated today, it will become easier and easier. Scott and Angel, thank you very much. And I'm sure that we will see you again on Prophet Talk in the future.
Appreciate it. Good seeing you, Buck.
Bye.